Mini Bloks Plays.
Hello and welcome to Mini Bloks Plays Power Rangers Mega Battle on the Playstation 4. I need to confess, I am not recording this audio live. I am recording it whilst watching myself play the game at a predetermined time. It was a very interesting set of scenarios where I actually put the game on for the first time, ran through the opening tutorial, and then went back to play it. Well, then I just continued playing it and captured it all. It was about 40 odd minutes. Admittedly, I backtracked a lot and I died a whole number of times. So a lot of that was going to get cut out. And then I realized that in that process, I'm using a new microphone I bought myself after Christmas. I spent £22 on a Sony clip-on mic rather than the less than £10 I spent on my other one. And I'm undecided which one is better. And the Sony one, unfortunately, has only got a short lead. And so I plugged it into my USB mixer, and in the process of me getting excited playing the game, it obviously got removed, because if you push it in the entire way, it doesn't work. So you've got to kind of just balance it in there. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so therefore I realized that when I got back to playing the game, I didn't have any of the audio of myself ranting over it. So I thought, you know what, it was a very mixed kind of let's play, so I'm going to just go back again, capture the footage, and then let's roll with it from there. So this is me playing Power Rangers Mega Battle, the opening level. It's level 1. I think it's called Park Invasion or something like that. Basically, you're playing through the shows, the original show's storyline. So the opening of the game is all of them coming together and getting the powers from Zordon after a little bit of a rumble with the putties in the park after a bit of a training session. And then this is your very first mission, which is when you go back to the park to help defeat the putties and see what's up. I played my first run through of the game, the run through of the first level as Kimberly, because I wanted to, and I found it increasingly frustrating, to say the least. Admittedly, things got more frustrating when you realize that not everything works as planned. Oh, I just remembered. It wasn't so much the fact that I ended up pulling the microphone out, it was the fact that because I captured this via the PS4 and I wanted to listen to the audio, I did what I did before when I'd played Turtles, and I plugged my headset directly into the controller, which pulls the game's audio feed from the TV into the controller, and therefore I captured absolutely zero audio of the game, which of course is the entire big reason, and that's exactly why I've gone back to capture it again. So therefore, this time I just sat down with it and just played it through. I mean, I knew what I was expecting, and I feel like this let's play, this playthrough of the level 1 was so much better than my original one. There's an element of when you're trying to play games and that you're trying to talk as well and do commentary and trying to make it interesting, but particularly when you've not played a game before and you're trying to figure that out, get the minutiae and the timing right, it's difficult. Yeah, so my first takeaway of the game, if anyone's been following my channel this last month will know that I'm a bit of a Power Rangers nerd, and when this was first announced a few months back, I was really excited to get a brand new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game in 2017, not to mention that it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, very much like the old Sega games which I've just been playing on my channel as well. So I'm a huge fan of your traditional side-scrolling beat-em-up kind of genre, and so mixing that with new mechanics and graphics with the license of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is exactly what I want. And then here it is. It was a bit of a jumble trying to find out when the game was going to come out. I managed to find it through a Microsoft website that launches it, which it's not even on PC yet, so I don't think it's on PC yet. I didn't understand how that made any sense, but it came out on the 17th of January, so last Tuesday. I bought it straight away. I hadn't played it. I intended to try and get to grips with how it controls before doing my Let's Play, but as traditional fashion, things come up until when it's just time to do the Let's Play, and so I jumped in to play it then. I'm not as much of a fan as I really want to be. Like, I look at it and like the game looks good, the graphics of it, the art direction of the game is gorgeous. I think everything flows well, the characters have got great animation. I mean, the characters have got a very cool style to them. It's very much like the show, but like they've taken influence from the characters. I mean, Kimberly looks very much like well, they all look sort of like who they're supposed to look like. But like Rita, for instance, is not the same. They've redesigned Rita for the game, and I think she looks great. I generally have zero complaints with how the game looks. My biggest takeaway from it, realistically, is the sound. The sound design of the game, I feel, is lacking considerably. Sound obviously does play a massive part in any game, and realistically it plays a huge part in Power Rangers. Not only does it have an awesome soundtrack behind it, but like the Rangers themselves are increasingly, or very much so, vocal fighters, like anyone would be if you did any form of martial arts. I used to do Taekwondo, and the actual sort of, I don't know how you would word it, but basically the physical noise that you make does have an impact behind how you, I would say fight, but how you perform. So trying to connect your movements, you can sort of amplify it through sound. I guess aggression you make and things, the noise you make, you can actually put like a sense of power behind what you're doing. And obviously the Power Rangers is just martial arts, and all of them are martial artists. Admittedly, I think they maybe overdo it in the series, but it's very much a part of it. So they're always making sort of noises and things. That's more Tommy. But like, it's definitely a part of it. They all do it, and the game pulls sound bites from the original show. So like in the intro of the game, you've got them all saying like, you know, Tyrannosaurus, Mastodon, and things like that, and that's literally it. And like Rita only has one sound bite, which is like ah, and that's it. And Zordon says Alpha, and Alpha just says aye. So it's kind of a shame, because it's like they wanted to either do it right by having the actual Rangers involved from the original show, or not do it at all. And so there is dialogue in the game, and it's all done quietly, which isn't so much of a problem. I can kind of understand, because video games, you don't need to have voice actors for it, but I feel like something like the Power Rangers, when you've gone to the effort of getting the sound bites for the odd time they morph and things, you can morph your character if you're playing as plain clothes, which you have to build up a bit of points so you can get your morph in different levels. Or if you restart a level, you start normal, and you have to morph up. So when you do that, like, they go Mastodon and whatever. So it's like, that's kind of cool, but it's a shame that it's not like more than that. So I feel like they should have probably gone with just some different voice actors, even like a lesser known voice acting cast that might not have done like a brilliant job. I feel would have given this game a bit more life. It feels kind of flat. And unfortunately, the actual gameplay mechanics, it doesn't control very well. Like, you do like you double tap to run forwards, and you can do like a dash boost and things, but I find that's not very easy to do. It's almost like they couldn't decide how to get it to be, you either play it with a D-pad or you play it with an analog, and it feels like they didn't refine either variations of that play style very well. So like, it almost feels like you should be playing with the D-pad more so than the analog stick, but the analog stick doesn't really work quite as well as you'd want it to do. Like, it feels like the D-pad would be more intuitive. So it's kind of like a weird balance of not controlling massively well. My biggest problem with it is the same problem I had with the Power Rangers, the movie game for the Sega. And that's, as you can see, level 1 is just being, you walk a little bit and then you just get wave after wave after wave of putty men. Varying in strengths and attacks, putty men, but still just putty men. And I feel like if you're trying to build your levels out to be longer, to the point where you're just literally button mashing against putty men, that's kind of a problem, because that very quickly gets tedious, particularly if your gameplay isn't like massively great, and if your movesets aren't like very deep. Just putting you up against, I don't know, what's that, 2 waves of putty men, and then you progress to the next stage, you can see here, and then you get stopped again, and then you get some more waves of putty men. Admittedly, you get the cars in this, which I believe is a throwback to the Power Rangers the movie Sega game, or SNES game, depending which way you played it as, because you're fighting the Oozemen on the roads, and you do have the cars coming at you. So a nice little throwback. That's something that I wouldn't have figured out unless I hadn't played the games recently, which you can find across on my channel, Mini Bloks Plays, Power Rangers the movie, and then I played the Brawler, the beat them up versus fighter. But overall, I definitely had much more fun playing this game the second time around as Jason than I did playing as Kimberly. And that's not necessarily to say that Jason's better than Kimberly. I think it's because I chose to play as Kimberly, and the whole process of trying to play a game for the first time and trying to record fascinating audio is a hard task. Whereas this time I already knew what I was doing, I'd got my head around the gameplay, and I wasn't focusing on anything else other than just running through the game, and that was so much more fun. So there you go. So we've got, this is the third stage of this part of the level, and I've had 2 waves of putty men on each stage so far. Another big drawback, realistically, is that the Power Rangers never work alone. Like, at least if they do work alone, there's 2 or 3 of them at most, and they go into like different areas. But realistically, they are a team of 5, and they're a team for a specific reason, because that's how they are. So I feel like, sure, you can play this game up to 4 local or online multiplayer, I believe. But if you're going to play a single player, you're on your own. And that's something I had an issue with the Sega game, which I can understand why it's like that in the Sega game. But this isn't in the 90s, this is 2017. I feel like another AI Ranger, at least one, would have been a massive bonus to how this played out. Because to keep popping up in all the different events, your friends teleport down and like join you, and then they just teleport off again. And I feel like you should have had at least one other ranger with you, AI controlled or not. I think I double backed too far on that one, and that's what caused the next. I got stuck in that stage for another 3rd wave. This is where I got to with Kimberly. And this next bit on the bridge, I died. I have no idea how many times I died. It makes no sense why I would have died in this game as many times as I did. And when you die, you restart to the front. And if you've got 3 stages on this one level of 2 waves or 3 waves each of putting men just to get back to this point, it starts to get really irritating. Like the checklist system, the checkpoint system is quite bad from that perspective. It puts you straight back at the start of the level, and realistically the level isn't that big or in depth, but the fact that you literally just repetitive, making someone go back to the very start of that repetitiveness gets old really fast. So I do worry about the longevity of this game and like how much fun you can have with it. The more levels you get in. There are 6 levels to the game, and each stage I believe has, or each level has 3 stages to it. So there's quite a number of levels / stages built into the game. This guy is more fun. I quite like fighting this sort of guy, just because he's like really easy. He's easier to fight than a putty man, despite the fact that he's kind of like a mini boss that pops up every now and then. You just jump and kick him, and 2 times of doing that he's down, which is easier. But yeah, I feel like, as you can see, I was trying to get running, but it's hard to get running in the game. It just doesn't feel very intuitive, which is a shame. I think the game, the style of it and everything else, the license, they've nailed a lot of things for it. It just almost, it feels like it's just a little bit underbaked, which will explain why release dates and any sort of covering for it, aside from the initial launch teaser, which was just the intro for the game, it kind of explains why it went a little bit quiet, because I don't think it's as good as people would like it to be. Still, it's 2017 and it's a brand new game in the Power Rangers license based on a 20-year IP. When they really could have just done like a modern one. They might do a modern reskin, I don't know. But it's certainly not bad. It's definitely better than the old Sega ones, if you want to compare it in that perspective. Because at least the Rangers do control differently. I've only played as Kimberly and Jason, A nice touch about playing it on the PS4 is the light bar, of all things. Depending, I mean, I've only tested it on 2, but when I was playing as Kimberly, the light bar on my controller was pink. When I was playing as Jason, the light bar was red. I don't know how that works if you're playing as white or black, but I'm certainly interested to find out. I think the White Ranger's in this. I'm more than confident that he is. I know the Green Ranger's in it. So again, I don't know how far the game goes, if it's like telling the story. I don't know how far the story goes of the Power Rangers. I don't know, you know, because I mean, you start with the very intro of the game. I don't know, to get to Green Ranger and / White Ranger, you've got to go quite a distance past when it first started, so they must take some creative liberties with the story. I'm not sure. I've not got that far. As a Power Rangers fan though, I'm very much interested to see how it all progresses. And again, I had much more fun playing this the second time round and just being able to just record the audio without having all the fart in between it. There you go, that's it. The Rangers turn up and then you'll get Rita's one sound bite. I like it. I think she looks great. Again, the game looks really good. I don't know if I was supposed to be reading this or not, but I haven't been reading any of the dialogue, so it's up to you to read it. I usually do like a bit of a voiceover when I read things in a very stupid manner, but clearly I didn't do it at all. So whenever we get to the boss fight, which I believe is now, I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised, because like King Sphinx is first up to fight you, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. There you go, you'll find him coming up now. I'm sure you can find lots of other Let's Plays of the game up on YouTube, but if you're watching this one, thank you for watching it on my channel. As a Power Ranger fan, I'm sure you appreciate the in-depth commentary. So here's King Sphinx, and I wasn't really sure what to expect from when you got around to boss battles. This is very much standard, like boss battle kind of mini game, just moving around. Clearly I decided that I was going to be as comical as possible and just walk around and see if I can dodge the attacks purely by walking. And then he's standing over you and he shoves his foot down and you hit his foot. This bit makes less sense because he then attacks you with his staff, yet he still takes damage for that, which I don't think that works in real life. If someone hit your walking stick unless you fell over, I don't think you would really feel much discomfort. Either way, it's a nice way of getting down his hill. So very standard, you know, he shoots things, you can see where it's going to land on the floor, move out the way, same thing, but he's just going to trick his foot on you. And then you get past stage 1 of the boss battle. Again, I hadn't seen anything of this game other than the opening intro, both are the same thing. Other than the intro, and so therefore I didn't know what to expect. And this was a very pleasant surprise. Not so much this part of the boss fight, but what it progresses to is what actually really surprised me. And very pleasantly surprised, to the point where I would actually quite like to play through the other game levels purely just to get to the boss fights. And normally I find boss fights are some of the worst, most boring, repetitive. They need to be out of video game kind of moments. Boss fights sort of suck in a lot of games. Depends how you do it, but like I feel like there's still a tendency to put them in there for very little reason. But this was a lot of fun. So that's stage 1 complete. Now Rita's annoyed because her monster, who's already huge, has been defeated, so she makes him bigger, even though he's already really big. And there you go. So this is what you want to get to, is when they pull out the Megazord. And this isn't the Megazord in its main stance, this is it in its, what do you call it, battle mode, before it transforms. I forget what it's actually called. But this is what I wasn't expecting. A first-person Megazord battle is not what I was expecting. It is really, really cool, because normally you see it as like it turns into a brawler, basically, a versus fighter where your character is then just a Megazord and you're just punching them around on a single plane. Which of course is still in here, but that's also different as well. So this was a very pleasant surprise to find it being in first person mode, and I really enjoy being in the cockpit of the Megazord looking out as if you would be if you were a Power Ranger, so it makes a lot of sense. I do generally dig this a lot. I think that's a really cool idea, and I think the boss fights might actually be some of the best moments of this game. Again, I've only played level 1, but pleasantly surprised. So there you go, you take him down, and then to finish him off, you go into full-on Megazord mode, which is what everyone wants to see anyway. And this I was expecting to turn into either just like a short clip, obviously business picking up with all the music and things, so either like a short vignette animation of us taking him out, or looking at this I was expecting like a proper traditional brawler, but it's not. It's a quick time event fight, which I was not expecting at all, but it makes the Megazord to me feel so much more powerful than just being put like behind it and playing as a character where you're just button mashing the same as you were if you were on foot. I always thought that seemed stupid, and you're moving around so fast and like doing silly jumps and runs. The Megazord never controlled like that, so I feel like they're taking the control away from you and you're pressing the buttons as if you were in the cockpit to make sure that he controls as he should do. And I generally think that was so much better than I was expecting. I like the different stages of fighting him on foot, fighting him in the Megazord from a first person perspective, and then finishing him off as if you were pressing the buttons in the cockpit to control the Megazord. So that is a huge bonus, and again, the game looks brilliant. It looks absolutely fantastic from an art direction. Very happy with it. It really is just a shame that it's felt very repetitive early on, and from level 1 being repetitive sounds like it's going to get even more repetitive by the time you get around to level 6. And particularly the sound design I feel like could have just done with a bit of an extra oomph. I would have preferred it to be have actual voice cast, even if it wasn't from the original show, which I wouldn't really mind. As long as they had voices to them, I feel it would have really helped up the production value. But apart from that, I had fun playing it, at least on the second time around. And I'll probably jump back into it to play some more. But if you enjoyed my Let's Play, you want to see me go back to it and play a few more levels, then just let me know in the comments below. If you've been watching this video, then thank you ever so much for tuning in and watching my Let's Play, and for watching my Let's Plays over the last month for all the Power Rangers content. So thank you for all the Power Ranger fans. It's been awesome. I've had a great time doing it. And for everything else Power Rangers, Mini Bloks. Thank you very much for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay up the latest from my channel. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest under Mini Bloks. What else would it be? And you're after some more toy videos, and you can find me unboxing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Sabertooth Tiger set from Mega Construx over Mini Bloks Unbox. Or to see me take out Ivan Ooze on the streets of Angel Grove, then go find me play Power Rangers the movie from the Sega Mega Drive over on Mini Bloks Plays. For everything else, Power Rangers, Zords, Let's Plays and toys, make sure to keep it locked to Mini Bloks.